students, let's continue money and credit. Let's start off with deposits with bank. The other form in which people hold money is as deposits with the bank. People deposit money with the bank by the opening a bank account in their name. Banks accept the deposits and also pay an amount as interest on the deposits. People also have the provision to withdraw the money as when they require. Since the deposits in the bank's account can be withdrawn on demand. This deposit is called demand deposit. It is this facility which lends it the essential characteristics of money. Yes, now let's see. Yes, at a point of time, people need only some currency for their day-to-day needs. See, for example, the workers who receive their salary at the end of each month, yes, have extra cash at the beginning of the month. What do people do with the extra cash? They deposit it with the bank by opening a bank account in their name. And bank accept the deposits and also pay an amount as interest on the deposits. So in this way, people's money is safe with the bank and it earns an amount as interest. And people also have the provision to withdraw the money as when they require. Whenever they require, they can withdraw the money. Yes, so this deposits in the bank account can be withdrawn on demand. This deposit is called demand deposits. Let's move on to the other point. For payment by check, the buyer who has an account with the bank make out a check for a specific amount. Yes, a check is a paper instructing the bank to pay a specific amount from the person account to the person whose name the check has been issued. The facility of check against demand deposits makes it possible to directly settle payment without use of cash. Since demand deposits are accepted widely as a means of payment along with currency, they constitute money in the modern economy. But for the banks, there would be no demand and no payment by checks against these deposits. The modern forms of money, currency and deposits are closely linked to the working of modern banking system. Yes. And demand deposits, it's have the another way by interesting facility. Yes. The facility which lends the essential characteristics of money. Yes, you would have heard about the payment being made by check instead of cash. See, for the payment through check, the payer who has an account with the bank makes out a check for a specific amount. And a check is a paper instructing the bank to pay a specific amount from the person amount to the other person in whose name the check has been issued. Yes. So, the facility of check against demand deposits make it possible to directly settle payments without the use of cash. And demand deposits are accepted widely as a means of payment along with the currency. Yes, and one more thing you must remember that the role that the banks play here. But for the banks, there would be no demand deposits and no payments by check against these deposits. Yes, so the modern forms of money and currency and deposits are closely linked to working of modern banking system. Let's move on to the other one. Loan activities of bank. Yes, let's discuss with a small activity of bank, a loan activities of bank. Banks keep only a small proportion of the deposits as cash with themselves. This is kept as a provision to pay the depositors who might come to withdraw money from the bank on any given day. Since on any particular day, only some of its many depositors come to withdraw cash, the bank is able to manage with the cash. Banks use the major portion of the deposits to extend loans. There is a huge demand for loans for various economic activities. Yes, now let us take this a small story of banks further, what do banks do with the deposits which they accept from the public? There is an interesting mechanism at work here. Banks keep only a small proportion of the deposit as cash with themselves. For example, banks in India these days hold about 15% of the deposit as cash. This is kept as a provision to pay the depositors who might come to withdraw money from the bank on any given day. Yes, since on any particular day, only some of its many deposits comes to withdraw the cash. So, the bank is able to manage with the cash. And what bank will be doing it now? Let's see this. Banks credit and loans related activities. Yes, banks use the major portion of the demand to extend loans. Yes, in this picture, the depositors, the people will make deposits in the bank. Yes, and the bank, what the bank will do, the bank will give loans to the borrower. The people will take loans from the bank. Yes, for the loans, the people repay loans with the interest. And even the people make withdrawal and get interest. So these are the activities of banks. Banks make use of the deposits to meet the loan requirements of the people. In this way, banks mediate between those who have surplus fund and those who are in need of these funds. Banks charge higher interest rate on loans than what they offer on demands. The difference between what is charged from the borrower and what is paid to the depositors is the main sources of income. Yes. So, what the bank will do? The banks make use of the deposits to meet the loan requirements of the people. Yes, and in the bank will mediate between those who have surplus fund, yes, the depositors, and those who have need of the funds, the borrower. And the banks will charge a higher interest rate on the loans, yes, than what they offer on deposits. So the difference between what is charged from the borrower and what is paid to the depositor is the main sources of income. So these are the loan activities of banks. Let's move to the other one. Two different credit situation. So in this two different credit situation, you'll be learning about the festival season. This is about a credit situation of Salim. The other one, credit is for crop production, Swapna's problem. Yes. Now let's start with the first credit situation of Salim. Yes. Festival season. Yes, credit play a vital and a positive role if made a good profit. Let's see. It is a festival season 2 months from now, and the shoe manufacturer Salim has received an order from a large trader in town for 3,000 pairs of shoes to be delivered in a month time. To complete production on time, Salim has to hire a few more workers for stitching and pasting work. He has to purchase the raw materials. Yes, of course. To meet these expenses, Salim obtains loans from two sources. First, he has a leather supplier to supply leather now and promise to repay him later. Second, he obtained loan in cash from the large trader as an advance payment for 1,000 pair of shoes with a promise to deliver the whole order by end of the month. So, at the end of the month, Salim is able to deliver the order and make a good profit to repay the money that he had borrowed. This is a first credit situation of Salim. Now, let's move on to the second situation of Swapna's problem. Yes, Swapna, a small farmer, grows groundnut on her 3 acres of land. She takes a loan from the moneylender. Yes, because she is a small farmer. So to meet with the expenses, what she did, she take loans from the moneylender to meet the expenses of cultivation, hoping that her harvest would help repay the loan. Midway, though the seasons, the crop hit by the pest and the crops fails. Though Swapna spray her crops with expensive pesticides, it makes little difference. So she is unable to repay the money to the moneylender, and finally she caught in a debt. Yes, and the debt grows over the year into a large amount. The next year, Swapna takes a fresh loan for the cultivation. It is a normal crop this year, but the earning are not enough to cover the old loan. This is caught in debt. Yes, and what happens? She is caught in a debt. She has to sell a part of the land to repay of the debt. So this is a two different credit situation. Yes, one is the Salim, a profit, a good profit for the Salim. The second one, it's a Swapna's problem. So in this cases, Salim obtained credit to meet the working capital needs of production. So the credit helped him to meet the ongoing expenses of production and complete production on time, and thereby increasing its earning. So credit therefore play a vital, a positive role in this situation. But in this case of Swapna's, everything was failed. Yes, the credit play a negative role, isn't it? She is unable to repay its old loan, and finally she caught in a debt, and she is unable to repay the loan and at the part of the land to pay for the debt. She sold her part of the land to pay for the debt. Yes, now let's move on to collateral. What does mean by collateral? Collateral is an asset that the borrower owns, such as land, building, vehicle, livestocks, deposits with bank, and uses this as a guarantee to a lender until the loan is repaid. If the borrower failed to repay the loan, yes, the lender has a right to sell the assets. Yes, that is, assets or a collateral to obtain payment. And property such as land titles, deposits with the banks, and livestocks are some of the common example of collateral which used for borrowings. So even they can keep it in the form of property such as land titles, deposits with the banks, livestock are some of the common example of collateral. Yes, of used as a borrowing. So collateral, it's a kind of asset. Yes, whatever may be the asset we have is an asset that the borrower owns, such as even maybe a land, building, vehicles, whatever may be. And they will use this as a guarantee to a lender until the loan is repaid. Suppose if the borrower failed to repay the loan, isn't it? The lender has a full right to sell the asset or a collateral to obtain payment. Yes, so in this we have covered the first one, money, that is loan activities of bank. Yes, and what is mean by collateral. Yes, and what is mean by deposits, what is mean by demand deposits, and what are the loan activities of bank, and two different situation of credit. Yes, credit situation, two different credit situation. At the last, what is mean by collateral. Thank you, students.